Welcome to Conflict News 24. Continuing our coverage of Russia-Ukraine conflict, we have several updates for you. First one is about Zelensky, Ukrainian president, who is on his way to the US. Zelensky is on his first trip abroad since the start of this war in February this year. Joe Biden is waiting for Zelensky. He is going to announce new military and financial aid for Ukraine. Ukraine has been calling for delivery of air defense systems and some other weaponry which US is going to give to Ukraine. Officially going to be made public in coming hours, though several sources are already reporting which weapons are being delivered to Ukraine, and can these weapons tilt the battlefield balance in Ukraine's favor. Secondly, in yesterday's video, I spoke about a key meeting which was to be held today in Kremlin. Yes, meeting was held with Putin addressing defense ministry officials. Some key decisions have been made. Russia wants to enlarge its military, and it has made some claims about this war. Details for you. And thirdly was Belarus, where some Russian military movement is being seen. Belarusian military has sealed 3 border cities which are on Belarus-Ukraine border. We know that in February, Russian forces entered Ukraine from Belarus. So is there a new planning for a re-entry of Russian military from Belarus into Ukraine towards Kiev? Details for you. Firstly, was Vladimir Zelensky, Ukrainian president, is on his way for first official visit abroad since this war broke out between Russia and Ukraine. It was the 24th of February when Russia invaded Ukraine. Since then, Zelensky has been in Ukraine. He addressed UN General Assembly virtually. So this is his first visit abroad. He is on his way. In a message around 8 to 9 hours ago, he confirmed his departure for US. Joe Biden tweeted as well, welcoming Zelensky in advance. Zelensky's plane is being guarded by US and NATO jets. Yes, it is being confirmed that when Zelensky's VVIP flight flew from Ukraine, NATO's fighter jets, which are deployed in countries like Poland and some other countries, they took to the skies and they encircled Zelensky's plane, protected. Zelensky is he's on his way to US. Joe Biden is waiting for him, and new military aid is going to be announced in coming hours by US. And the military aid is what Zelensky has been pleading for. We know that Russian cruise missiles and Russian air superiority has been a challenge for Ukraine. Ukraine is in need of air defense systems. That is why it has been requesting US to give Patriot medium-range surface-to-air missile system, and reportedly US has agreed to give Patriot air defense system to Ukraine. With a range of around 100 miles, Patriot-fired missiles can reach a distance of around 100 miles. And one battery of this SAM costs around $1 billion US. Reportedly, US will give one battery with 8 launchers to Ukraine. Each launcher will have around between 4 to 16 missiles. One missile of Patriot air defense system costs around $4 million US. And secondly, another technology is being given by US to Ukraine, which will convert Ukrainian dumb bombs into precision guided munitions. JDAM is the name of this technology. JDAM kits will be given to Ukraine. Ukrainian bombs, dumb bombs, will turn into precision guided munitions. That is what Zelensky has been hoping for. And we are seeing response from Russia to this new military aid which is going to be received by Ukraine in coming months. It is being said that in spring, Ukraine will receive this aid. Obviously, Ukrainian officials will have to be trained. Ukrainian soldiers, Ukrainian technicians will have to be trained to operate Patriot air defense system. But I personally think trainings might be underway already, and these SAMs could be in Ukraine earlier than is being announced. Firstly. Secondly, US says that these Patriot air defense systems don't pose a threat to Russia. They do pose a threat to Russia. If Patriot is deployed in Kharkiv, it means entire Belgrade can be hit by these Patriot battery. Firstly. Secondly, yes, Moscow cannot be hit. Kremlin cannot be hit, obviously. But from Kharkiv to Russia border, distance is around 25 miles. And range of this SAM is around 100 miles. It means that, yes, Russian border areas can be easily hit by Patriot air defense system. Secondly, the main purpose is to defend from Russian cruise missiles. Russia is hitting Ukrainian energy infrastructure, and Ukraine does not have very effective air defense systems. It does have some US and European air defense systems, but it was in need of Patriot. If Ukrainian Patriot given by US start functioning in border areas on front lines, it means that Russian air superiority will be in danger. And main edge which Russians have now is their air superiority. They can hit wherever they want to hit in Ukraine. On daily basis, we're seeing attacks in Kiev, in other parts of Ukraine, which are not under Russian control. And if air defense systems are used effectively, obviously it could be a matter of concern for Russians. And secondly, obviously, Russian territories can also be hit by these Patriot missiles. Russia responded. In Kremlin, Putin today chaired a meeting of Russian defense officials. He said this new weapon delivery will aggravate the conflict. He further said that Russia would continue maintaining and modernizing its nuclear arsenal, and that it is basically Russia versus NATO. Though we know that NATO troops are not in Ukraine, though Russians claim, but no large-scale presence of NATO troops in Ukraine. Yes, NATO financial aid, NATO military equipment, NATO intelligence, all are helping Ukrainians. So it is to some extent Russia versus NATO, but obviously not fully Russia versus NATO. After today's top meetings in Kremlin, Sergei Shoigu, defense minister, said that Russia was planning to enlarge its military strength to around 1.5 million active combatants. What is the number of active Russian military now? It is less than 1 million. Russia wants to raise it to 1.5 million. It means that massive recruitments could start in Russia. Maybe conscriptions too, if this war goes on. So, US, Russia, face-to-face proxy war through Ukraine. No end in sight. Though Macron today doubled down on his previous statement about security guarantees to Russia. A few days ago, French President Emmanuel Macron proposed security guarantees for Ukraine and Russia to put an end to this conflict. Kiev lashed out at Macron. Some countries like Poland also criticized Macron. But Macron today reiterated his position. He said that NATO will have to give some security guarantees to Russia to put an end to this conflict. Obviously, Ukraine's territorial integrity and sovereignty will also be respected. So, realization is there in Europe, especially to find a way out of this conflict. I personally think this conflict suits US interests. Russia is getting weaker militarily, Europe getting weaker militarily. US is emerging as the strongest player in international politics through this war. And now, when war is coming close to Russian borders, this is the time when US will try to take this war into Russia. I personally don't see any direct talks, any peaceful solution to this conflict between Russia and Ukraine in coming days or weeks. Last year's Belarus, Russian ally, where some movement of Russian military is underway. We know that Russian military is already there in Belarus because in February, Russian military entered Ukraine from Belarus and through airborne operations. Russian military tried to reach Kiev, Ukrainian capital, but it could not. And then Russian military withdrew from areas close to Kiev. But Russia maintained its presence in Belarus, and last week Putin was in Belarus. Lukashenko, Putin held talks, and after that we saw that three border districts of Belarus on Belarus-Ukraine border were sealed for locals, outsiders. Only government officials are being allowed into these three districts. So some sources say preparations are underway, maybe for a new attack on Ukraine from Belarus. I personally don't see any new attack on large-scale attack on Ukraine from Belarus. So yes, there could be some small attack to divert Ukrainian strength from its deployments on Donetsk, Lugansk fronts. I don't see main offensive coming from Belarus on Ukraine. Some movements have been seen there reportedly of Russian and Belarusian military on Belarus-Ukraine border. Watch this clip showing the movement of some military convoys in Belarus close to Ukrainian border. Thank you for watching.